What's going on, guys? Today we're out here in the garage and we're going to be working on the stand for the Boba Fett suit, the display stand for the vest, the helmet, the gauntlets, and just try to get a design that kind of represents the suit pretty well and it doesn't hide too much of it. Um, I'll be able to display the actual chest piece with the armor pieces, the shoulders, the helmet, and the gauntlets is my goal. And stuff like the knee pads will just like have to be placed in front or next to it. We'll have to see exactly how it's all spaced out. But I'm taking inspiration from the little armor stand from the show that he had, and I'll probably be wall mounting the jetpack and the as far as the soft parts of the suit, like the under jumpsuit and the boots, those are going to have to be kept in storage. I can't really, unless I had like a full body mannequin, which I thought about, but it's just, it takes up too much space. So this is going to be like an on-desk kind of display. So I'm going to get the welder out here, and I've got some round stock that we're going to be messing with to make a frame structure to hang the vest on and the helmet and try to get it all displayed up. Okay guys, so this is the helmet. You guys have seen it in the previous Boba Fett suit build, and I wore this in the entire suit for Halloween last year, and so we're making the stand for this and for our vest. Now this doesn't have the armor attached, but I've got these out here to try to have a correct measurement of our skeleton. So the basic design I'm going to try to go with on this is I'm thinking like a T shape to support the shoulders, and a rod that goes up top for the helmet to set on with some kind of ball or something fastened to the top to make it easier to adjust the tilt and the sway of the helmet. But I'm going to go with a heavier build. I've got this like, I think it's 1/2 inch round stock or 1/4 inch. So we're going to get some measurements here of how tall we want the bust to stand on the desk, and the right measurements so that the helmet doesn't look like it's setting like into the vest or like it's got too long of a neck. So we have to take some precise measurements here, figure out all that. Okay guys, I've got this piece of 16 gauge steel here that I'm pretty confident about using for the base. I think it's heavy enough and wide enough to support the weight of the suit. So we're going to use this as the base and some round stock for armature. We're going to lop it off here so we have some straight stock to mess with, just for the ease of the whole thing. And then this thick stuff here will be the main beam that runs vertically. So we'll cut this off with the old Milwaukee angle grinder. Okay, so now we have to get a precise measurement on how long we want this to be. Okay, so we're going to have to measure from the top of the cranium here to the bottom of the helmet, and give a little space for the neck area, and then measure the length of the vest and where we want that to end so that we can weld the rod that's going to run through the helmet, through the vest, and onto our base. We can weld that onto the base, and then we can worry about the shoulders and the arms. So we've got our tape measure here, measuring through the bottom all the way to the very center top of the cranium. It looks like we're coming to about 9 1/4 inches.
So we're going to give, I'd say, about 4 inches or so for the neck area. So we'll just call it, so that's 9 1/4. We'll just call it 12 1/4 and give the neck area 3 inches. So 12 1/4, and then we'll add that to the length of the vest. Tack on another few inches for the vest so it can not be dragging the table and it can be kind of lifted a little. And then I think we'll have it. Okay, so for this part it's a bit more challenging. I've got it kind of flattened on my arm here, and I'm just measuring from the collar up here to the bottom of where the stomach would be, and that looks like about 14 inches. So we'll add maybe 3 more inches to that for the hover at the bottom. So 17, and then add the 12 1/4, and we've got our total. Alright, so we've got it marked here at 29 1/4. That should be good for our total length. So let's get our angle grinder and go ahead and cut this. Okay, so there we have a length of solid round stock for the armature, 29 inches in length. So we're going to go ahead and do a little paint grinding off on the end here and making this more suitable for welding. We're going to find the center of our base, the steel plate base, and we're going to weld it right to the center. And from there we'll come across and put our T-post in for the shoulders and the arms and get some more measurements before we do that. So for the base, I'm just going to leave this with the 90-degree corners. I think it looks nice and industrial for what I'm looking for. But you can see from a previous cut, this is pretty jagged and dangerous on this side. So we're going to be hitting this with the table grinder a little bit here to take care of that lip. And then get some measurements and do some welding here. Much better. Alright guys, so as you can see here, this is the same rod that I just cut, and I was just testing it to see how close this was going to be for supporting the vest, and it's exactly what we need, exactly what I was going for here for the T section. The only problem is it's looking like a scarecrow, so we're going to put a bend here. We're going to cut another flat piece like this and put a bend. It's not going to be this thick stuff because it doesn't need to be. I've got smaller stuff I'm going to do this part with. It's easier to bend and mess with. But our length is the 29 1/4 here, and we're just going to roll with that. Okay, we've got the smaller armature measured out here and marked, so we're going to cut this here. And grind the rough edges off. Okay, so the center of this would be roughly 14 5/8. So we're going to mark it in the center and give it a little bit of a bend, more normal like shoulders instead of like scarecrow flat. And then we'll get the spacing of where that needs to be on the vertical armature and weld it in place.
Alright guys, another day out here in the garage to finish up this project. So this is our cross piece for the shoulders, and we decided we needed to bend the middle of this so the shoulders wouldn't be like scarecrow, it would be more like natural looking. So we're going to find the center of this and give it a little tweak and bend them down a little. Okay, so we found our center here and we have it cinched in the vise, and we're just going to give it a gentle natural bend. Trying to start at the bottom here so it doesn't bend weirdly like a rainbow up here, but more centered towards the center. Okay, that looks like a natural bend to me. Let's get it out and take a look. Okay, so that's more of that coat hanger-esque angle there that's going to work better for us. So I need to weld this to the center post. We need to weld the center post to the base plate. Alright guys, so what I've got here is the bottom plate, and I've got my 90-degree magnet here holding the bottom plate and the upright armature here. I've got to find the center of this plate and where exactly I'm going to weld it to. I'm going to take off some of this paint so the weld goes well, and weld this first. And then I've made a mark up here somewhere that is my mark to weld the cross piece here for the shoulders. So we'll get that welded together, and then we'll do a test fit of the helmet and the vest. Alright guys, I'm all rigged up here on the table to weld this in place. We've ground the paint away from the welding surface. Got the welder set up here. So we're going to put the welding hood on and get some welds around the edge, move this magnet, and get a good strong weld to the base of this rod here. Alright guys, I think we got a pretty good weld on it here. I'll show a close-up of the weld. We're going to clean it up and probably maybe have to do some light grinding on it, maybe not a lot. This is all going to be covered with the clothing and whatnot, so I'm not going to be too picky about it. But and then we've got to do the same thing for the cross beam that runs across the shoulders. Probably could have went with a little bit heavier gauge steel for the bottom, for the base plate here, but it's gonna work okay. If it gives me any problems, I'll beef it up with something. But let's get on to welding the shoulders on. Alright guys, so once again I'm using the magnet here to prop this up and get it exactly where I wanted it. And I'm gonna connect the ground here and just make a small spot weld, and then remove the magnet and make another one under it to hold the shoulder points in place. Alright, that looks pretty good. We got a tack above and below on that. So we're going to clean that up a little bit and then we'll test fit the stand. Okay guys, so there's the stand. You can see we have a gap at the bottom, which is what I wanted, and we have enough room that it looks natural where it connects to the head. There's going to be a scarf around this area which will hide the rest of the armature, and then once the armor is on, it's going to look awesome. As far as the ball point goes that's going to rest on the cranium up here, I thought it'd be just quicker, easier, and make more sense to use something soft, kind of like a balled up old sock or something to put on the end of that rod, because even without anything, it's holding it pretty well. So we're just going to go with that option instead of welding something on there that would also inevitably add some more height, or it would be something like welding an X on the top, and it would just take a little bit longer, and it just makes more sense to use something soft anyway, so we're just going to go with that route. Okay guys, here is the final display. We didn't decide to do the arm pieces connected to the bottom because it would have been in the way of the main armor pieces. The armor pieces need some little tweaks and adjustments, and probably I'm going to have to put some kind of filler onto the skeleton to fill out the chest to try to make the armor lay more naturally. But here's the final product. We've got his helmet on there, kind of looking at a downward menacing angle, and we've also got his jetpack mounted along with his blaster and his sidearm. So all other soft pieces that you guys saw on the costume are put into storage, and this is the final display. Anyways guys, thanks for joining me with this little side project here. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.